Hello. Today I want to talk to you really quickly about why bookkeeping seems to be so hard and difficult for small business owners. And, across all different types of industries, we found that, many times the block to tax planning, the block or the one thing that stops us achieving the greatest results on tax strategies and reduction and literally just cutting your tax bill is bookkeeping or the management of your finances that really give us the detail that we need to really be able to strategize in your business. So I want to tackle a few different types of blocks or reasons why small business owners have one of the biggest challenges with bookkeeping. And number one is lack of expertise. The number one reason why we see that small business owners have a hard time even hiring the right bookkeeper or accountant for their business is a lack of expertise. They don't know what they need to get from the books. They don't know how to interpret the data, and they many times don't know what to search for and how to get what they really need or want for their business. So one of the biggest challenges also that I see is that we always look at best practices. So let me give you an example. If you are a real estate investor and you have passive investments, right, what you do and how you track how your investments are doing is going to be completely different than you having 10, 15, 20 rental properties that you're managing. More so, if you have Airbnb, you're tracking and how you have the systems and what you need, the best practices will be completely different than the person who has passive investments. And it goes, on all different industries exactly the same way. So one of the biggest elements of, hiring the right bookkeepers, having the right people is a lack of expertise, especially if you're in something that's more creative. If something that is not necessarily, a data-based or, how they call it, like, science-based business, right? If you're an engineer, it comes easier than if you're, let's say, something in the, performing arts arena. So that's number one, lack of expertise. Now, here, what you want to know, you want to make sure that we have the proper, systems in place to have the right people that you hire if you need to hire, and how do you keep track of that? And we're going to talk about all of this in future videos. So stay tuned for how do you stay in tune when you lack expertise in bookkeeping and accounting to make sure what you need to have completed, it's done. So that was number one. Number two is going to be time constraints. Now, if you're a business owner, like I am a business owner, time is never on our side. So bookkeeping takes a lot of time, or so believe that, because we have to record every single transactions, and even after we record all the transactions, many times we find that it doesn't produce the information that really is true or that shows the reality that our business is. So we might show that we have 300,000 in the bank where our bank is 10,000 as a balance, or we might show that we have no debt and we actually have quite a few different types of notes available, and so on and so forth. We're not even going to go into customers and vendors arena. So time constraints is one of the kind of secondary reasons why it is so difficult. Okay, so don't beat yourself up. It's the same thing for everybody. Every single small business owner has the same challenge as you do. I have the same challenge, right? So this goes across the board for everybody. So that was number two. Number three, why bookkeeping is so difficult is lack of resources. And when I say resources means, when you're a startup phase, and many times I have recommended, and my clients can attest to this, like many times I recommend it, if you're in the beginning phase, you're just building the business, you don't have the resources to pay a bookkeeper. And many times I don't recommend getting a bookkeeper. And there's many reasons why I say that. And one of them would be, I want people to understand the ins and out of what goes in. And in the beginning, you might not need a very complicated system. You just need to track the cash. You need to have intimacy with the money and the cash that comes in, the cash that goes out. So, you may not have the monetary resources in the beginning. And then When you build your business, you have a little bit more traction, there's more revenue coming in. They need to have the first, setup for an accountant and then, a bookkeeper. And many people say, I can afford to pay $500 a month or $1,000 a month for a bookkeeper. And that is the, one of the biggest lack of resources that we see for small business owners, that they want to outsource the bookkeeping to someone else. On top of that, as you grow, you need an oversight. A bookkeeper does not replace an accountant. So you do need to have an accountant to look over what the bookkeeper is doing, to have, to have assurance that, hey, what they're doing and what my books are showing is what the reality is, that there's no excess cash sitting around, there's no payments, not placed in the right accounts, that my balance sheet is complete, that my assets are all there, that all all my financials actually match with my tax returns are. So that's going to be your number 3, lack of resources. Okay, that is the most common lack of resource that we see. The other piece on lack of resources would be people don't make the decision to use an accounting software fast enough. Now, when I say that is, in the beginning, you might get away with an Excel spreadsheet with just the listing of the stuff that's coming and going out. You might not need, a full balance sheet. You might not need all of that, which is easy to recreate if you have the information. However, as you grow, you cannot continue to stay on an Excel spreadsheet or a Google sheet. You're literally overpaying in tax the minute that you keep on that spreadsheet too long. So you have to let it go and make the decision to invest in an accounting software. I recommend once you cross like $150,000 to $200,000, depending on the industry, again, this is just a guide. It's not like a set in stone. You cannot use a spreadsheet. Now, if you have only one transaction for that because you got one sale, that's a different story, which even then. But majority of the times when you get to that place, things get a little bit more complex, and we need to track how we're billing, how we're, having the balance sheet, and we might look into the structure, which, that's going to be another video, right? So that was the lack of resources. Reason number 4, why you might find it very difficult is the complexity. So we think that bookkeeping is just, okay, money's coming in, money's going out. It's really a simple, easy peasy in and out. And we find soon enough that different businesses have different levels of complexity, right? So I gave you the example, earlier with the, if I have multiple passive investments where I just put the money in, I get the information, I just literally get a payout every month. I don't record all the things. It's going to be a simpler tracking for me to do. If I have 10 investments, if I have, 30 investments, it's going to be easier tracking for me because I don't have in and out a whole lot of complexity. However, now if I have rental properties on the same spectrum, going from 1 rental to 2 rentals to 10 rentals to 20 rental properties, let's say long-term rentals, it's going to add some complexity. Do I pick a software that can handle that for me? How do I see all of it? How do I track it, right? The same way when you combine, let's say now, to stay in the same example, let's say when I have a combination of like passive investments, active rentals, like long-term rentals, and I have Airbnb, right? Just to keep the same example, it's gonna bring some complexity. How do I see how much am I generating only on that, only on the lake houses, only on this properties, on this? So again, with all kinds of businesses and industries, we look at what is the center, the revenue, right? What's the revenue stream, right? So that adds the complexity that many people don't know how to structure. And this goes back to a video that I did, I think a couple of weeks, where I talked about you have to have an architect designing your accounting system. Before you even go to your bookkeeper, you need to have someone design what is the stream, how many revenue streams do I need to track, how many locations, how do I track my stuff, what do I need to see, what is this piece of software, accounting software, need to deliver to me to be able to make a decision, financial decision, investment decision, right? Spending decision. All of this has to be delivered by your accounting software. So I really encourage you to go back and watch the video when we talked about where and how complex is my business? What do I need to see, or what do I need? Who else needs the information? Who else did I hire, or do I have to talk to? Is my financial advisor asking me questions? Is my investment advisor? Is my strategist on the taxes? So what do you need on all different areas that is coming from your, from your books, right? From your, whatever you choose as a tax, or QuickBooks, Xero, whatever other software that you're choosing for your bookkeeping needs, okay? So that was number 4, that was complexity. So number 5 is compliance, right? When we talk about compliance, what does it mean? Various different industries have compliance or regulation attached to them, right? So to stay in the same area with the example, so if you are a passive investor, investing in different types of, you're just putting, 50,000, 75,000, 100,000 in different passive investments, and you're just getting a payout, once a quarter, once a month, every year, whatever the investment delivers, it's not the same as you holding the investment and you have an obligation to deliver different things to your investors, right? So there's 2 different seats for the exact same scenario that you can hold. So based on what's your seat, where do you stand on the transaction, there's different regulations in place that you might have to comply with, and your bookkeeping has to comply with that. Okay, and you might have different timelines, you might have different, you can't let your investors down, especially when you have investors. You really have to have some things in place, right? And that's not the only industry. Let's talk about medical. Do you work with medical professionals? You have any other, you have a franchise. Let's say the franchisor has specific things that you have to comply with. So the regulation and the compliance is not only governmental. It's not only the federal, the state, it could be some other agencies that you're part of that you have some obligation to do specific things, to comply with the rules or whatever is needed from you to be compliant with what needs to be done on your industry. So those are all the things that I wanted to talk to you today. Like, I want you to not feel like you're the only person or the only small business owner that has reached a level of success and this is still difficult. It's difficult for everybody because this is hard. There's so many different constraints that we have. We have resources, we have time, we have people that we have to work with, we have compliance that we have to, to keep in mind. So all of this makes it like a heavy load for a small business owner. And this is just a side to keep track of money coming and going out. So what I recommend is really, kind of make peace with the fact that it's okay. Everybody has to have this. Everybody goes the same struggle. This is hard for most of the people. Most of small business struggle. And if you don't have peace with, the lineup of either the software, either the application that you selected, the people that you have working on your team, reach out to us. I would love to have a conversation with you to see, can we help you in selecting the right information? Everything has to have, they all together work really beautifully to create a dance, right? To create something that is harmonious and works for you. And the right person with the right application, because you cannot separate the human from the technology anymore. So it's needed to have a balance from all the pieces, apps, accounting software, the people that are working on your team. So I hope this is helpful. I would love to know, what are the biggest challenges for you? How do you find it difficult to deliver or to have this financials delivered to you in your business? So let me know, what are the biggest obstacles and reasons that this is hard for you? Or if it's not hard, I would love to know, what are you doing? Let us know, give us some tips, so make it easy for everybody else. And I would love to hear from you and meet with you face-to-face in a meeting to see how can we help you resolve this and just make it easier for you on the long run. All the best, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.